This is the Brother LX3014, and I am doing the very basic steps to get it set up and ready to sew. This is step 3, and we're going to be doing the upper threading. In step 1, we plugged it in. In step 2, we learned about installing the bobbin case and checking the bobbin. And this is step 3, and we're going to do the upper threading. As the machine is sitting there, it is not on. The first step is to pull up the bobbin pin, the spool pin that is on the top of the machine, like that. Then place your spool of thread on the spool pin so that the thread is leading from the right. So that was the wrong way, and that's the right way, so that your thread is leading from the right around the front of the thread. You go over here to this, which is the tension spring for the upper threading. Now, I have to hold the camera, so I'm going to explain it as well as do it. I'm going to lay the thread under this plate right here. I'm going to come up right here, and the thread will slip into the tension spring and then come down over the metal plate. Now I'm going to try to do this while I'm holding the camera. So I come from the right, underneath, and the thread will slip right into the tension spring. From there, you bring your thread straight down in this groove to the right of the tension knob, which is right here. The battery died, and I apologize. You bring the thread straight down from the right to the left around the tension knob into the groove on the left, straight up still. There is a metal piece that has a top shaped like the end of a hockey stick. You simply pull the thread to the right of the curve of the metal piece, which is right up here. So the thread comes to the right of that, the right to the left around that curve like that. It then comes straight down into this groove to the needle area. There is a thread guide above the needle that you go behind, and I didn't get it behind there because I'm right-handed, but you go behind this thread guide right here, and then you thread your needle from front to back. As you can see, I've gone behind the thread guide, and I have threaded the needle from front to back. And from step 2, we had the bobbin thread laying across the needle plate there. The next thing we need to do is we place the upper thread from the top that goes through the needle in between the slot and the presser foot that came on the machine and pull it toward the back. We are going to take a piece of fabric, cotton or muslin, something with a little bit of stability to it, and we're going to put it under the needle like that. And our bobbin thread is still under there. At that point, you're going to lower the presser foot, and without turning the machine on, over here on the right with the hand wheel. Turn the hand wheel toward you like that to move the needle down through the fabric once. Move the needle until it's at the highest position and stop. And what it has done is pick up the bobbin thread. So lift the presser foot again and take something like a screwdriver or anything that's handy, or simply pull up the needle thread from behind. And what you want to do is get both threads coming to the top. And it'll be difficult to pull the bobbin thread through if you don't have the needle in the highest position. So, even though I really need two hands, one to hold the needle thread and one to pick up the bobbin thread, but that's what you're going to do. Now what I've done is pulled the needle thread up to show you what I mean. Here I'm pulling the needle thread, and that's the bobbin thread that it's holding onto, that is the loop that's coming through the fabric. So at this point, take your screwdriver, your scissors, and you want both of those pieces of thread to be coming up through the fabric. And as I said, it's very easy to do with two hands. And once you get both of these up, which is easier than it looks right now, you can then lower the presser foot again, and you have both threads coming up through the fabric, and you can pull them toward the back. Like that. So that is step 3, the upper threading of the machine. It still isn't on. The presser foot is down, and your two threads are coming up from the surface of the fabric. Now, if this isn't your project, which it probably isn't because you've used a piece of scrap fabric, at this point you can remove that fabric, and when you first start to sew your project, you will do that same step of pulling the bobbin thread up through the fabric so that both threads are on the top. But you now have, at this point, you have the machine threaded and the bobbin checked, and you know that you will need to bring that bobbin thread up through the fabric of your project before you start to sew.